For years, Julia had devoted herself to caring for her disabled husband, all while carrying their unborn child. But suspicions gnawed at her, leading her to place a discreet camera in their home. What she uncovered shattered her world. Meanwhile, in the office, oblivious to the passing time, Julia was engrossed in her work. Sketches littered her desk as she diligently crafted designs, her mind consumed by the project. It was only when her boss, Mark, appeared with concern etched on his face that she snapped back to reality. "Julia, dear, it's time to take a break," Mark gently admonished. "You've been here far too long. Simon needs to be picked up from school." With a jolt, Julia realized the lateness of the hour. "Nearly 7 already? I must hurry," she exclaimed, hastily gathering her belongings. "And we must discuss the new children's book cover design later. Traditional meets contemporary, remember?" As Julia rushed to the bus stop, Mark marveled at her dedication and multitasking prowess. He admired her not just as a colleague but as a person, captivated by her resilience amidst life's challenges. Yet, as he gazed into her somber eyes, Julia's focus remained steadfastly on her family, leaving Mark to ponder in solitude. Rushing into the Karate Academy, Julia found Simon anxiously waiting in the changing room. He sighed with relief upon seeing her, expressing his worry. "Mom, I thought you forgot about me. Everyone else's parents have already picked them up." Embracing him tightly, Julia apologized. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Work held me up. Let's head home now. How was school? Did you get a lot of homework?" As they made their way home, Simon shared proudly that he had finished his homework while waiting. Julia praised his responsibility. "You're truly remarkable, my dear. Always so dependable and excelling in school. I'm incredibly lucky to have you." Yet, both of them felt the absence of Julia's late husband, Simon's father, whose passing left a void in their lives. Upon their return, they found Octavio, Julia's current husband, reclined on the couch, visibly irritated, flipping through TV channels. He grumbled, "Took you long enough. I've been starving since lunch. Nobody cares about me. I'm just a burden." Worried, Julia inquired about Octavio's well-being. "Why are you speaking like this? Is your leg bothering you? I'll whip up dinner quickly and prepare a compress for you, I promise." Octavio's demeanor softened as he waited for his meal, while Simon, frustrated by Octavio's lack of consideration for his mother, headed to the kitchen to assist Julia, peeling potatoes and slicing tomatoes. Julia praised her son, grateful for his help. Since Octavio's illness, Julia's life had become an ongoing struggle. Balancing the care of her son, the demands of her job, and the needs of her sick husband left her with no time for herself, perpetually drained and exhausted. In the workplace, Julia commanded deep respect and admiration from her colleagues. Her dedication was unwavering, infused with compassion and boundless enthusiasm. But the roots of her story stretch back much further. Julia, the youngest in her family, faced profound loss early in life. Her parents, aged and frail, departed, leaving her feeling adrift in her spacious apartment bedroom. Yearning for moments shared with her mother, longing for words of encouragement and paternal affection, Julia found herself navigating a world now devoid of their presence. Amidst this tumultuous period, Julia encountered Tony, her first husband. A soldier by profession, Tony's deployments often kept him far from home, punctuated only by brief reprieves. Their love blossomed swiftly, culminating in marriage. Julia stood faithfully by his side, enduring the agonizing stretches of his absence. With the birth of their son Simon, Tony vowed to retire from his perilous occupation. Tragically, that pledge remained unfulfilled. Tony never returned, leaving Julia a widow at the tender age of 25. Though the mornings were fraught with sorrow, Julia found solace in the unwavering love of her son and the refuge of her work. Years later, Julia's path intersected with Octavio, a man of striking contrast to Tony. Secure and charismatic, he courted her with poetic gestures and bouquets of flowers. Unwittingly, Julia found herself falling deeply in love. Octavio proved adept with Simon, and their bond led to marriage, buoyed by Octavio's steadfast insistence. As a builder, Octavio's work often necessitated travel, providing financial stability to their home. However, murmurs of skepticism swirled among Julia's colleagues at the workshop. Rose, a trusted confidant, voiced concerns, questioning the nature of Octavio's frequent absences and the secrecy surrounding his past. Julia, bristling at the insinuations, defended her husband's honor, urging her colleagues to desist from unfounded speculation. "Please stop," she implored. "Octavio has his reasons for guarding his past. It's not for us to pry." He provides for us, and that's all that matters. And rest assured, our family is expanding with the arrival of our new baby. Simon is overjoyed at the prospect of a sibling. However, tragedy befell Octavio during his work at a construction site in a nearby city. A fall from the third-floor scaffolding left him with severe injuries to his leg and ankle. Despite returning home with a cast, his mobility remained compromised long after the accident. For a man accustomed to activity, this incident dealt a crushing blow, leaving him feeling incapacitated and detached from the world around him. Julia, empathetic and supportive, shouldered the burden of household duties, caring for Simon, and assuming sole financial responsibility as Octavio's ability to work waned. With Octavio confined to their home, unable to contribute economically, Julia found herself stretched thin, especially with the impending arrival of their new baby. Yet, resolute in her determination to remain strong for her children, she soldiered on. What troubled her most, however, was Octavio's demeanor. He appeared disengaged, showing little interest in Simon's academic progress or household matters. Julia couldn't help but feel frustrated that despite his injury, Octavio seemed unwilling to offer even a modicum of support. "Octavio, why do you remain so despondent?" Julia implored, attempting to buoy his spirits. "Perhaps a short walk on the balcony for some fresh air might lift your mood. I'll assist you. It could aid in your recovery. Don't succumb to despair like this. Can't you see how much I'm struggling? I'm in constant pain, and the painkillers hardly alleviate it. I feel utterly helpless." Octavio's response came laced with accusation. "You're selfish, Julia. You only consider your own needs. Pregnancy isn't an ailment. Why do you complain? I spend my days alone, waiting for your return, only to be met with blame when you're here." Julia's heart sank at the bitterness in his words, grappling with the weight of her responsibilities and the strain on their relationship. A few days later, Octavio stumbled upon an online healer named Camila, boasting quick and effective cures for muscular and bone ailments. Despite Julia's attempts to dissuade him, Octavio remained convinced of the treatment's efficacy. Regular visits from Camila ensued, with Octavio claiming a reduction in his pain. On an ordinary day, Julia returned home earlier than usual due to Simon's illness, finding unfamiliar female footwear in the hallway. Realization dawned swiftly: Camila was in their house. The closed kitchen door piqued Julia's curiosity, prompting her to eavesdrop on Octavio and the supposed healer's conversation. What she heard left her reeling. Octavio's discontent spilled forth as he lamented, "Camila, I can't go on like this. Pretending to be infirm is exhausting. My back aches from lying around all day, and I've even put on weight. When will we rid ourselves of Julia and her son? She's already growing tired of me, but I can't wait to claim this magnificent house as my own." Attempting to assuage Octavio's impatience, Camila cautioned, "Rushing this will only invite suspicion, especially now that Julia's pregnant. We must proceed carefully. You'll need to care for the unborn child to avoid arousing suspicion as a widower. Patience is key. We've narrowly escaped detection before. Obtaining reliable poison is imperative. Administer it gradually in their tea, ensuring their demise appears as severe poisoning. No traces must remain. In a month, they'll be gone, and you'll be free." A shiver raced down Julia's spine as she absorbed the sinister plot unfolding before her. Her colleague's suspicions about Octavio had proven tragically accurate. Her immediate impulse to confront them battled with the need for concrete evidence. She couldn't risk their escape. "He never loved me. Our marriage was a facade," Julia realized bitterly. "His reaction to my pregnancy wasn't joy, it was dread. I've endangered Simon by leaving him in Octavio's care." Desperation and determination warred within her as she silently retreated, bracing herself for the confrontation ahead. Gathering her resolve, Julia burst into the room with calculated force, masking her turmoil with practiced composure. "Hello, I'm back," she announced, steeling herself for the tumultuous ordeal ahead. As Julia stepped into the house, the kitchen door creaked open, revealing the healer. "Good afternoon, Julia. Our session just concluded. Your husband is showing signs of improvement. I'm doing everything in my power to aid his recovery," the healer announced. Julia, though shaken, maintained her facade of composure. "Thank you. I'll settle the payment in 2 days when I receive my salary. We'll settle the fees for both sessions," she replied calmly. With a nod, the healer departed, leaving Julia to confront her husband. Engaging in strained conversation with Octavio, Julia tended to his needs before checking on Simon, citing exhaustion and a throbbing headache. She was appalled by Octavio's deceit and the depths of his betrayal. The following day at work, Julia found herself consumed by distress, retreating to the privacy of the bathroom to weep. Lost in her turmoil, she was approached by Mark, whose concern was palpable. "Julia, forgive me if I'm prying, but something's clearly troubling you." "It pains me to see you like this," he remarked gently. Surprised by Mark's empathy, Julia divulged her harrowing ordeal. With a history of trust between them, she poured out her fears and uncertainties. "I feel trapped, Mark. It's like living with a traitor and a potential murderer. What should I do? How can I seek justice and safeguard Simon and myself?" she implored. Mark's response was resolute. "Julia, we must involve the authorities. I'll reach out to a reliable investigator I know. Share everything with him. He'll provide the assistance you need. Additionally, I have a plan. Discreetly tamper with Octavio's wheelchair, removing the screws, and leave a concealed recording device. If he's feigning his condition, he'll reveal it when the chair collapses. That'll be the evidence we require. I'll coordinate with the police for swift action. Remember, you're not alone in this." Empowered by Mark's support, Julia felt a surge of relief. With guidance from the investigator, her fear abated somewhat. She resolved to meticulously gather evidence against Octavio and the fraudulent healer, heeding the investigator's advice to exercise caution, preparing her own food and drink. Yet, with each encounter with Octavio, her resentment and fury simmered beneath the surface, fueling her determination to expose the truth. That night, Julia meticulously tampered with Octavio's wheelchair, carefully removing the screws and setting up her cell phone to record. As Octavio leaned on the chair, the wheels gave way, causing him to tumble. Swiftly rising to his feet, he attempted to maintain his ruse. Simon, drawn by the commotion, dashed into the room, jubilantly exclaiming, "Uncle Octavio, you're not sick anymore. You're cured. How amazing." Julia's applause was laced with sarcasm as she addressed Octavio. "Indeed, Simon, it appears the healer's sessions are yielding miraculous results. Just look at Octavio's sudden agility. How could you deceive us like this? Why pretend to be ill?" Octavio, caught off guard, feigned discomfort, attempting to salvage his facade. But Julia's patience had worn thin. "Enough of this farce, Octavio. Your deceit is laid bare. There was never any injury, it was all a fabrication." Before Octavio could concoct a response, the doorbell rang. Simon rushed to answer it, ushering in Mark accompanied by a police officer. Informed of the plan, Mark wasted no time in springing into action. Together, they swiftly immobilized Octavio, thwarting any chance of escape. The police officer wasted no time in issuing a stern declaration. "Octavio Martinez, you and your accomplice Lucia, also known as Camila, are under arrest for attempted murder against Julia and Simon. Further investigation has revealed similar schemes in multiple cities, exploiting vulnerable individuals for personal gain. Your malicious intent will not go unpunished." Octavio's protests fell on deaf ears as the investigator intervened, silencing him. "Your theatrics won't save you, Octavio. Julia has provided damning evidence of your fraudulent recovery, and your accomplice has already confessed. Your time for deception is over." Julia, still reeling from the shock, watched as Octavio was escorted away, her heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. As the chaos subsided, Simon approached Mark, displaying a maturity beyond his years, a silent testament to the resilience of youth. "Thank you for helping Mom. Uncle Octavio is bad. I don't like him. He doesn't love Mom or me." "He's not coming back," Simon stated solemnly. Mark replied with equal gravity, "No, Simon, he's not coming back. And I'll be around if you'll have me because your mother needs support now." Simon's innocent smile brightened the room. "Sure, come visit us more often. You're like a movie hero unmasking Uncle Octavio," he quipped. Recognizing the need for privacy, Mark suggested, "How about you watch a cartoon? I need to talk to your mother. It's adult stuff, probably boring for you." Understanding, Simon headed to his room as Mark turned his attention to Julia. He enveloped her in a comforting embrace, his voice gentle. "Don't torment yourself anymore, Julia. It's all over. Octavio and his accomplice will be in prison for a long time." Julia, almost in a daze, murmured, "Why do I have such bad luck? My first husband died. The second was a criminal, and now I'm pregnant with his child. Why can't I find a decent man? Is it me?" Mark's response was steady and reassuring. "Don't you see who's been by your side all these years? You're searching for happiness in distant places without realizing what you already have. I've always loved you unconditionally, Julia. I would never betray you. Look around. I don't want to pressure you, but know that I'm here." Touched by his sincerity, Julia finally allowed herself to trust. She embraced him gratefully. "Thank you for being here, Mark, for everything. I don't know if I can reciprocate your feelings, but I'm willing to get to know you better. And who knows what the future holds." Mark's response was filled with understanding. "Don't worry, I have great admiration for you, and above all, I want to be your friend, someone you can trust. If it doesn't work out romantically, that's okay. But at least let me be there for you. I don't want you to leave my side, Mark. I just need time to process all this. But I definitely want us to get to know each other better," Julia confessed. From that moment on, Julia's life began to take a turn for the better. Despite the challenges of pregnancy and lingering doubts, Mark remained a constant source of support. Their bond deepened, and eventually Julia realized that Mark was the loving and reliable partner she had been searching for. She divorced Octavio and married Mark, finding happiness in the warmth of his love. She had always harbored dreams of a loving family, even though she initially dismissed Mark as merely a man of charming words. However, time proved him to be a steadfast and affectionate partner, both to her and to Simon. Their workshop thrived, and Mark's business ventures occasionally took him away on trips to negotiate clothing sales in other cities. Julia still had a month left until her expected due date, but fate took an unexpected turn one night when her water broke prematurely, triggering early contractions. In a panic, she called for an ambulance, slipping into unconsciousness, barely managing to request her neighbor's assistance in caring for Simon. Rushed to the hospital, Julia's labor unfolded into a nightmarish ordeal, a relentless struggle between consciousness and oblivion. Among the massed medical personnel attending to her, Julia failed to recognize one nurse, Lucia, Octavio's accomplice, who had seized an opportunity for revenge against Julia for thwarting her plans with Octavio. Upon regaining consciousness, Julia's heart sank as she realized the absence of her newborn. Frantically, she demanded answers, her voice a desperate cry echoing through the sterile hospital room. "Where is my son? I need to see my baby. What happened?" Approaching her with a heavy heart, a doctor gently broke the devastating news. "I'm deeply sorry, Julia, but your son didn't survive. The umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, and despite our best efforts, we couldn't save him. You're young. There will be other opportunities for you to have children." Overwhelmed by grief, Julia buried her face in her hands, her sobs echoing off the stark hospital walls. The doctors intervened, administering sedatives to ease her anguish, yet the pain of losing her child pierced her soul, leaving her shattered and bereft. Upon learning of the tragic loss, Mark hurried to the hospital to offer solace to Julia. She was consumed by inconsolable grief, murmuring through tears, "I would rather have perished than my son. I can't bear to live. Why did this happen to me?" Mark enveloped her in a tender embrace, his touch a feeble attempt to soothe her anguish. "Don't speak like that, Julia. You must stay strong, especially for Simon. He still needs you. Time will ease the pain. I'll be here every step of the way," he assured her gently. As they laid their baby to rest, Julia wept bitterly at the small graveside, grappling with the unbearable reality of their loss. Only Simon's unexpected fortitude and maturity offered her a glimmer of solace, allowing her to navigate the depths of her sorrow. Together, mother and son embarked on the arduous journey of healing. While the memory of their lost child continued to weigh heavily on Julia's heart, 7 years later, their atelier had blossomed into one of the city's most prestigious and sought-after establishments, drawing clientele from far and wide. Working in seamless harmony, Julia and Mark shared an unspoken understanding, their partnership flourishing amidst the creative whirl of their shared passion. Mark and Simon, now a poised 13-year-old, had forged a bond akin to that of father and son. Simon excelled both on the soccer field and in his studies, a testament to his dedication and zest for life. One day, Julia found herself needing to take the subway for an urgent business meeting as their car was undergoing repairs. Along the way, her path intersected with that of a 7-year-old boy, his small frame supported by crutches, his appearance downtrodden and unkempt. Her heart constricted at the sight of him. Moved by compassion, she purchased pastries and hot tea, approaching the boy with a gentle offer. He devoured the food ravenously, nearly choking in his haste. Julia then delicately inquired, "Hello there, little one. What's your name? Why are you here on the streets? What happened to you?" The boy, Once he finished eating, responded with a blend of timidity and resilience, "I'm John. I tried to ride a bicycle too big for me, and I ended up falling and injuring my leg. Since then, I had to rely on these crutches to get around." Concern etched across her features. Julia probed further, "That sounds serious, John. Haven't your parents taken you to see a doctor? You're so young. Surely there's treatment available." John let out a heavy sigh, his voice tinged with resignation. "My mother is always drunk, and I don't even know who my father is. She neglects me, never bothering to seek medical help. She insists it's better for me to beg for money." A wave of sadness and empathy washed over Julia as she wrapped the boy in a comforting embrace, pledging, "Fear not, John. My husband, Mark, and I will find a way to assist you. We'll explore avenues for your treatment." The boy regarded her with a mix of hope and skepticism. "I doubt it will make a difference. My mother prefers me to beg. She doesn't want me to get better," he lamented. Driven by an overwhelming urge to intervene, Julia vowed to John that she would spare no effort in improving his circumstances. Galvanized by her determination and the boy's longing for a brighter future, she offered reassurance. "Let's explore our options, John. Hold on to hope. We'll advocate for you. No child should endure suffering due to their parents' neglect." She swiftly dialed Mark, her voice choked with emotion, and relayed the distressing situation. Mark wasted no time, arriving promptly to lend his ear to John's tale and extend his assistance. Together they resolved to visit the boy's home to confront his mother and gain deeper insight into their predicament. With a touch of apprehension, John guided them to his apartment. As they prepared to depart, Julia took note of John's tattered and soiled attire, declaring, "We'll pick up some fresh clothes for you on our way." Excitedly, John inquired if he should bring anything along. Julia assured him, "No need. We'll take care of everything." Upon reaching the apartment, they were met with a pungent odor of alcohol and tobacco lingering in the air. The apartment lay in disarray, and John's mother lay slumped in a chair, snoring loudly. With a heavy heart, John explained his mother's situation. "She hasn't stirred since last night. She was drinking with some men in the kitchen. It'll be a while before she wakes. When she does, she'll demand money from me, then use it to buy more alcohol and cigarettes. If I don't bring enough, she'll hurl insults at me. Why is she like this? Why does she drink? Why doesn't she love me like other mothers?" Julia and Mark exchanged grim glances, deeply troubled by John's account. However, their resolve remained unyielding as they declared, "We're taking you home, John. Tomorrow, we'll accompany you to see a doctor about your leg, alright?" Leaving a note for John's mother detailing their decision, they ushered him away from the desolate scene. John embraced Julia with heartfelt gratitude, likening her to a fairy from his storybooks. Though touched, Julia's smile was tinged with sorrow as she ran her fingers through the boy's unruly curls. En route, they purchased new attire and backpacks stocked with essentials for John, who expressed profound appreciation and eagerness for a fresh start with them. Arriving home, Julia's thoughts were consumed by caring for the child. After bathing John and examining his leg, they realized the severity of the situation. His limb was visibly misshapen, indicating a grave underlying condition. After a nourishing meal and clad in fresh attire, John drifted into a peaceful slumber, a serene smile gracing his lips. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Julia, Mark, and Simon convened to address their newfound responsibility. Julia was resolute in her determination to care for John, yet Mark voiced apprehensions regarding the potential complexities of formal adoption, cautioning of the legal hurdles they might face. Excited at the prospect of welcoming John into their fold, Simon pledged to be a supportive older brother. Mark interjected, "While I'm in favor of John staying with us, we must acknowledge the legal implications. Adoption is a lengthy and intricate process. Are you prepared for this?" Undeterred, Julia responded with unwavering resolve. "Ever since I laid eyes on John in the subway, something stirred within me. He's no longer a stranger, he's become family. I'm committed to giving him a happy and normal childhood. He deserves nothing less. Without our help, what fate awaits him? A life marred by delinquency and despair, perhaps even incarceration. Together, we can nurture him into a good person, help him find purpose, and who knows, maybe even walk again. I'm prepared to fight for him, no matter the obstacles. Thank you for standing by me." The following day, Julia escorted John to a pediatric orthopedist. After a thorough examination, including x-rays and CT scans, the doctor delivered their assessment. The The condition of his leg is grave. We'll need to proceed with intricate surgery on the knee and ankle, followed by an extensive rehabilitation period. He'll require specialized footwear. With luck, within approximately 6 months, his legs should regain functionality. Are you in agreement with the proposed procedure?" With unwavering resolve, John eagerly exclaimed, "I'm ready to undergo it all if it means I can walk, run, and ride a bike again, Aunt Julia. I wholeheartedly accept the surgery. I promise to muster strength and refrain from complaining, no matter the hardships. When I fell off the bike it hurt, but I endured. I want my legs to be healthy again," John expressed, his voice filled with determination. Julia embraced the child, offering reassurance. "We'll take care of everything, John. My husband and I will cover the surgery costs. But now, we need to convince your mother to authorize it." Confronting John's mother, Jennifer, proved challenging. They found her inebriated and had to rouse her with cold water. Explaining their intentions amidst her intoxicated state was no easy feat. They discussed the medical consultation and diagnosis, but Jennifer, irate and intoxicated, protested vehemently. "Who are you to decide for my son? I'm his mother, and I won't allow you to lay a finger on him. He's my bread and butter. Give him back to me this instant." Attempting to reason with her, Julia pleaded softly, "Can't you see? You're consigning John to a life of hardship. Doesn't your son, who struggles to walk, deserve compassion? Have you considered his future? Please, let the surgeon intervene. He deserves a chance at a healthy life. Can't you feel anything as a mother? We'll handle all the expenses. We just need your consent." Unmoved, Jennifer retorted, "Don't meddle in my affairs. You didn't give birth to him. I said no. If you don't return my son, I'll call the police and accuse you of kidnapping." Fed up, Mark slammed his hand on the table, his frustration evident. "Go ahead, call the police. We'll show them the conditions you're subjecting your son to. John will be placed in a shelter and you'll forfeit your parental rights. Sign the consent now. Consider this a wake-up call. Your priority seems to be alcohol." With a pointed gesture, he presented bottles of alcohol alongside some food, silently challenging the negligent mother to reconsider her stance. Jennifer quickly assessed the situation, signing the papers without hesitation, but not without lamenting. "Why are you doing this to me? I love my son. We're just going through hard times. I can't find a job, so I drink sometimes to numb the problems." Mark, silently reflecting, thought to himself, "Children shouldn't have to endure the consequences of their parents' vices. It's unfair." Outside, Julia and Mark breathed a sigh of relief, grateful to have extricated themselves from that tense situation. Almost simultaneously, they voiced their concern. "We can't allow John to return to such a toxic environment. It's no place for a child. How he managed to survive there for so long is beyond me." With determination, Julia organized everything for John's surgery, ensuring all necessary tests were conducted. When the doctor requested blood donations from the family, an unexpected discovery surfaced. Julia and John shared the same rare blood type. Perplexed, the doctor inquired, "Are you two related?" Julia, denying any familial connection, explained John's situation. The doctor proposed a DNA test to confirm any potential relationship while proceeding with surgery preparations, expressing confidence in their likely connection. Sharing the doctor's observations with Mark, Julia contemplated, the doctor might be onto something. "Have you noticed their striking resemblance? Perhaps we should compare childhood photos." Intrigued, Mark agreed, "It's worth exploring. Let's proceed with the DNA test." Meanwhile, John braced himself for the impending surgery. As John underwent the procedure, Julia, having known him for just 2 weeks, experienced overwhelming concern. She anxiously awaited news, her heart heavy with worry. Finally, the doctor emerged with reassuring updates. The surgery was successful, but the road to recovery would be arduous. In that brief period, Julia and John had forged a bond so deep that they felt like a genuine family. John had become attached to Julia, facing each stage of his treatment with courage and even attempting to lift her spirits with his playful rhymes and wordplay. His recovery journey was not just physical but also emotional, filled with hurdles and moments of revelation. Julia accompanied him through it all, her heart a mixture of anxiety and hope. Witnessing John's resilience during physiotherapy sessions filled her with admiration. He approaches each exercise and procedure with such determination. Even when the pain and exhaustion seemed overwhelming, Julia often remarked, offering him a reassuring smile as she held his hand during their sessions. During this time, Julia couldn't shake off the thought of their shared rare blood type. As they lay in bed at night, she contemplated the possibility of some distant familial connection. Perhaps he's a distant cousin, she mused, attempting to unravel a family mystery she hadn't known existed. Sensing his wife's introspection, Mark inquired, "What's on your mind, Julia?" She sighed softly, responding, "Just pondering the unexpected twists life throws our way, Mark. I never imagined John could be a distant relative." As the day of the DNA test results drew near, Julia's anxiety heightened. Regardless of the outcome, she knew that she and John were already deeply connected. Yet, the prospect of a blood tie stirred a mix of anticipation and apprehension within her. "Regardless of the test, John is a part of our family," she assured Mark and Simon, who nodded in understanding. They were prepared to embrace John as kin, irrespective of the outcome. One day, Mark rushed into the room, visibly agitated, clutching a set of papers. "Julia, you won't believe this. Sit down," he urged, handing her the test results. "John is your biological son, with a 99% probability." Stunned, Julia struggled to comprehend. "But the baby who died at the maternity wasn't my son. My child has been alive all this time, and who was I married to then? How could this have happened?" Overhearing the conversation, John was bewildered by the revelations. "So, you're my real mother?" he asked incredulously. "This is unbelievable. And Jennifer, the woman I thought was my mother, isn't actually my mom." Julia held John tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It seems you are indeed my real son, my dear. I'm overjoyed to have found you alive. They told me you had passed away. Please forgive me, I didn't know. We'll uncover the truth about what happened. I promise I'll never leave you again, my little ray of sunshine." In the subsequent legal proceedings, Julia was officially recognized as John's biological mother, and Jennifer, the neglectful mother, lost her parental rights. When Jennifer realized she would lose her benefits, she suddenly remembered John, begging for him to return, feigning love and longing. However, John remembered the mistreatment and neglect vividly. He was grateful for the love of his new parents, Juliet and Mark, and was determined to bring happiness to their lives. After an extensive investigation, detectives unraveled the mystery behind the disappearance of Julia's son. They discovered that Lucia, in a cruel and desperate act, had swapped Julia's newborn with Jennifer's deceased baby at the hospital. Both women had given birth on the same day, facilitating the malicious exchange. Shocked by this revelation, Julia demanded answers. How is this possible? Why is Lucia not in prison? She should be held accountable, along with Octavio. I need to confront her, look her in the eyes, and ask why she ruined my life and my son's. The detective, with a grave expression, informed her, life has its own way of meting out justice. Lucia is now confined to an asylum, battling a terminal illness. She spends her days alone, without visitors, enduring immense suffering. And to complete the picture, Octavio succumbed to tuberculosis in prison. These words made Julia realize that, in some way, Lucia was already facing the consequences of her actions, isolated and forgotten in her final days. Upon arriving home, Julia was greeted by a heartwarming scene. Simon and John were engrossed in a playful game, while the savory aroma of Mark's tortilla filled the air. Their faces lit up at the sight of her. "Mom, you're back. We missed you. Is everything okay?" "You look a bit worried," John remarked, perceptive to Julia's expression. Seated at the table with her beloved family, Julia opened up about her emotions. "Today, I'm reminded of how incredibly blessed I am. I have 2 amazing sons, a husband who's my rock, and a fulfilling job. I truly feel fortunate." As Mark served dinner, he chimed in, "I'm glad you recognize our blessings. Remember, we're always here for you." The dinner conversation was animated, filled with laughter and dreams for the future. John, now fully integrated into the family, shared in the joy. In their home, where love prevailed, everything felt harmonious. Together, they had weathered storms and overcome obstacles. Now, with the shadows of the past behind them, they looked forward to a future brimming with happiness and unity. Their life, rich with love and companionship, marched onward, leaving darkness behind and paving the way for days of joy and fulfillment. If you enjoyed this story, we'd appreciate a like and a subscribe to our channel. Your support enables us to continue sharing incredible stories almost daily. Don't miss out on the next captivating tale coming your way. Thank you for being a part of our journey. Until next time.